Hello, this is Joe Pearson, the Planning and Environmental Services Manager, and I will be presenting the 2024 General Plan Housing Element Progress Report. Government Code requires the city to annually prepare a report regarding the status of the city's general plan and its progress in its implementation, and provide the General Plan Progress Report to the Office of Planning and Research and the Department of Housing and Community Development. The General Plan Progress Report provides for the annual review of the general plan to assess the level of implementation and effectiveness of the general plan as a guide for orderly growth and development, preservation and conservation of open space land and natural resources, and the efficient expenditure of public funds. The General Plan Progress Report summarizes the general plan implementation progress for 2024. The General Plan Progress Report also provides information regarding the city's progress in meeting its share of regional housing needs. This report must be submitted to the Office of Planning and Research, or OPR, and Housing Community Development, or HCD, by April 1st of each year. The General Plan is the city's official policy that sets out a vision to guide future development in the city. Local governments are required to keep the general plans current and internally consistent, and city actions must be consistent with this plan. Although general plans must be kept current, there is no specific requirement that a local government update the general plan on a prescribed timeline, with the exception of the housing element, which is formally required to be updated every 8 years. During 2024, the city did not approve any general plan amendments. However, since its adoption, there have been 19 amendments to the 2030 general plan. There are currently 4 pending general plan amendments as of the end of 2024. The first amendment is related to the Teal Club project, which proposes a specific plan that includes 990 residential units of varying density, single-family homes, townhomes, condominiums, and apartment units, as well as park space, mixed use, retail, commercial, and business park. This also includes the pre-zoning and specific plan for the annexation of the 174-acre collection of agricultural parcels known as Teal Club to the city. Additional parcels south of Teal Club Road would be annexed to the city and include a mix of vacant land, residential uses with vehicle storage, and other shop uses. The city prepared and released the EIR for the project, and the project was presented to the Planning Commission on November 21st, 2024, who made a recommendation of approval to City Council. Staff is currently working on finalizing documents to present the project to City Council in early 2025. The second amendment in progress is the Mohart Styles Northeast Community Specific Plan Sub-Neighborhood Plan. This project proposes to create a sub-neighborhood plan under the Northeast Community Specific Plan that would create the framework for a future development of approximately 500 to 950 residential units and approximately 40,000 square feet of commercial development on a 56-acre project site. The tentative map would create 14 master lots for future development, and the project will also include park area as well as a 5.4-acre expansion of East Village Park. Staff has kicked off the environmental review process, and the NOP will be going out for public review in early 2025. The third amendment currently in progress is the Rio de Valle Campus Expansion Master Plan Project, which consists of the southern expansion area and improvements to the existing campus. The southern expansion area will accommodate classrooms and athletic field expansions, as well as a new transportation and parking facility for the school buses, which are being relocated from the previous facility on Vineyard Avenue. Together with the existing campus, the expansion will constitute the new campus of the Rio de Valle Middle School. In order to allow for the proposed expansion, the existing campus and southern expansion area must be annexed into the city of Oxnard and requires a general plan amendment to add the property to the 2030 general plan, since the project is currently covered by SOAR. Staff is currently working with the school district and is expecting the project to move forward in 2025. The last amendment is the amendment for the Oxnard Fire Station number 3, which consists of the demolition of the existing fire station and the reconstruction of a new 2-story fire station on the existing property. The proposed project includes the general plan amendment to change the land use from residential, low medium, to public, semi-public, which allows for a fire station. Looking at some of the long-range projects implemented in 2024, starting with the update to the city's CEQA guidelines, which were adopted by City Council on December 3rd, 2024. The CEQA threshold guidelines implement and supplement the current state CEQA statute guidelines to provide clear direction in preparing environmental documents for development projects and identify what constitutes a significant environmental impact for projects in Oxnard. The key updates to the guidelines were to comply with state law in the areas of energy, greenhouse gas emissions, wildfires, and transportation. Also, in mid-2024, the city was awarded a REAP 2.0 grant from Southern California Associated Governments, or SCAG, to establish a transit-oriented development / high-quality transit corridor specific plan that will integrate housing, land use, and transportation to bridge the gap and reach climate resiliency. The City Council approved City's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, or CAP. The project is intended to implement Program 31 of the city's housing element, and consistent with grant funding requirements, the project is expected to be completed by the deadline of September 30th, 2026. Also, the city is working on an ordinance to update the inclusionary housing ordinance. Currently, the city is reviewing community input, confirming state regulations necessitated, requesting an opinion from the State of California Attorney General on how local inclusionary units may be calculated in projects that are also seeking to utilize density bonus as a means to secure additional density for a residential development project. The city submitted a request for this opinion in mid-2024, and the decision is still currently pending with state attorneys general. The draft inclusionary ordinance has been placed on hold while the city awaits that response. The city has also been working on updating its local coastal program. The California Coastal Act requires that the city prepare and implement local coastal programs, or LCPs. The LCP identifies adaptation strategies that address rising threats and concerns of climate change, such as sea level rise, and guides development in the coastal zone with policy directives for future development and protection of coastal resources. In February of 2024, a contract was signed with the consultant to update the LCP, which is reflective of updates to the city's coastal land use plan, as well as the local implementation plan or coastal zoning ordinance. A project kickoff meeting with the community was held on May 22nd, 2024, to introduce the scope of work. As part of the update, a series of targeted virtual discussion groups were held in December 2024 to introduce preliminary vulnerability assessment findings and discuss potential adaptation options. Feedback and input was received from those that attended and will help inform the next steps of the update. The LCP is anticipated to be completed by July 2027. Lastly, looking at the city's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, or CAP, which was approved by City Council in 2022. Most recently, in December 2024, the City Council approved the Clean Power Alliance's Power Ready Site Lease Agreement, which facilitates the contractual agreement between Coast Energy and the city to construct, operate, and maintain the Power Ready system at the service center. Construction of the Power Ready system is planned for 2025. Further, as an active member of the CPA, in 2024, the city was granted through the CPA's Energized Communities program to construct EV charging for either fleet or public operations. Facilitation of this program will continue into 2025 and 2026. Moving to current development, or current planning, in 2024, the city saw an increase in the number of projects under construction, as many of the projects approved over the last few years have started construction. Many of these developments were located in the larger developments in the city, such as Wagon Wheel, River Park, and Sakioka, as well as on the housing element additive zone sites. Also, throughout the city, there continues to be an increase in demand for accessory dwelling units. First, looking at the Sakioka Farms area, which was approved in 2020, or an update was approved in 2020, which subdivided the 430-acre area within the Sakioka Farms Business Park Specific Plan into 129 lots with new roads and sidewalks, stormwater management, landscape, and associated facilities. In addition to the Amazon and Arctic cold storage developments, which are completed and operational, the 101 logistics development, which consists of 4 buildings totaling approximately 778,000 square feet, was issued a stockpile permit in 2024, and the city expects to issue grading permits in early 2025. The River Park Specific Plan, which has been under construction since September 2002, has seen continued growth with the build-out of the landing area, including the construction of the Chick-fil-A, a multi-tenant building with a drive-through Starbucks, Shake Shack, and the Spring Hill Town Place Marriott hotels. The most recent amendment, which was approved in 2020, which allowed for the development of an additional 1,025 residential units in exchange for a reduction of approximately 562,000 square feet of non-residential development, has resulted in the construction of the current 333 4 apartments projects and the Point Apartments project, which was approved by the Community Development Director in December of 2024, but was appealed to the Planning Commission, who upheld this Community Development Director's decision. The last project contemplated under that most recent amendment was a 412-unit project, which has not yet been submitted. 2 other areas which have seen continued growth, which are the Wagon Wheel or Village Specific Plan area, which was approved in 2009 and has been under construction ever since. And in 2024, construction was completed on the Town Square development. Also, to accommodate affordable housing in the city amended the zone on approximately 63 parcels to include an affordable housing additive zone on top of the existing zoning to allow for development of 30 units per acre. The new additive zones have proven to be successful, and several housing projects have been approved under the program. For example, the Lockwood Senior Apartments 1 and 2 projects were approved and were under construction in 2024. Also, a third project was approved for underutilized auto dealership on Oxnard Boulevard in 2023. And in 2024, the city also rezoned a approximately 5-acre site to have the additive zone and approved a project to allow for 234 units on the site. In 2024, 251 ADUs were issued building permits and 134 were constructed and occupied. The housing element projects the development of 283 ADUs during the 2021 to 2029 housing element cycle. As a result of the city's updates to the ADU ordinance and ongoing city promotion, almost 600 or over 600 permits have been issued for the construction of ADUs, and 294 have been constructed. Therefore, the city has met the housing element ADU projection of 283 and could significantly exceed that projection by the end of the housing element cycle on October 15, 2029. As shown in the table, planning permits were granted for 283 units in 2024. Building permits were issued for 748 residential units in 2024. Of these, 376 were units from the Lockwood developments. The remainder were located throughout the city and included multifamily units, single-family dwellings, and accessory dwelling units. A certificate of occupancy was granted for 384 units. State law requires all regional councils of government to determine the existing projected housing needs for its region. The city of Oxnard is in the region covered by SCAG. For each housing development cycle, SCAG is required to determine the share of regional housing needs to be allocated to each city and unincorporated county areas within the SCAG region. This is called the Regional Housing Needs Assessment Allocation. The city of Oxnard's housing element was adopted by the Oxnard City Council on October 4, 2022, and certified by the State of California HCD. The city prepares the housing element annual progress report to document achievements in meeting the objectives of the housing element. The annual progress report provides HCD with an update on building activity during the housing element cycle and progress made to implement approved housing element programs. This year's annual progress report includes housing data on the 2024 calendar year. A total of 8,549 units were allocated to the city of Oxnard, and in 2024, 748 units were issued building permits. Approximately 65% of those units issued building permits met the criteria for placement in lower income and moderate income household categories, while the remaining 35% were affordable to above moderate households. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the annual median family income for a family of 4 in Ventura County in 2024 was $125,600. Affordable housing is generally defined as housing in which the occupant is paying no more than 30% of gross income for housing costs and including utilities. Based on this, the maximum housing payment for a family of 4 and making median income would be approximately $3,140. Looking at the affordable housing units constructed 10 units were at the very low income level, 52 units were at the low income level, and 38 units were at the moderate income level, with 274 at the above moderate level. Staff recommends that the Oxnard City Council receive and file the City of Oxnard 2024 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report.